Assis Holding Finance is thinking about buying a stock with the following one-year return distribution. What is the risk rate associated with the investment?
Good thinking. 11.36% is the right answer.
The requirements of a board of directors vary significantly by country and by state. However, there is a developing consensus as to what the major responsibilities should be. Which of the following is not one of the responsibilities? You're right. Becoming directly involved in managerial decisions is the correct answer. What challenge is related to the uncertainty of the amount and timing of cash flows and must be considered by finance managers before making investment or financing decisions? Smart pick. Riskiness of investment is the correct choice. The objectives of shareholders are not the same as the objectives of directors. So it is necessary to have a system known as
Excellent. Corporate governance is a brilliant choice.
debt instrument used by companies to raise funds from external investors, generally for large projects or general corporate use. Correct response. Bones is the most accurate answer. Which sister organization of the World Bank provides long-term loans at zero interest to the poorest developing countries? Valid point. International Developmental Association is true. What is the process of determining which long-term or fixed assets to acquire in an effort to maximize shareholder value? Excellent choice. Capital budgeting is the right answer. In determining investment decisions, from a corporate finance perspective, the most important thing is to consider clear logic. Your choice internal rate of return is sound and 100% true. Which of the following was not identified by your authors as one of the three main ideas of financial study?
Sharp thinking. Capital budgeting is the right choice.
If a corporate security can be exchanged for a fixed number of shares of stock, the security is said to be.
Bravo! Convertible is the answer.
The dash function focuses on raising capital to support a company's operations and investment programs.
Correct. Financing is the right answer.
Long-term sources of finance are for when the time needed to pay the money back is more than dash.
Well picked. 1 year is the correct answer.
What is the main responsibility of corporate finance departments in managing short-term finances? Nice selection. Ensuring enough liquidity for ongoing operations is the correct and valid answer. What can lead to increased financing costs or inadequate operating capacity in corporate finance?
Nice work. You chose poor capital budgeting, and it is correct.
The term ESG, when used in the context of corporate governance, refers to which of the following? Well done. Environment, social, and governance is the right choice. The cost of corporate income tax is not affected by which of the following indicators?
You chose all of them are wrong. And it is correct.
Corporation finance deals with the acquisition and use of dash by business corporate. You got it? Your choice capital is right. A conflict of interest between the stockholders and management of a firm is called. Nicely done. The agency problem is a solid answer. Where can companies source capital through debt or equity in corporate finance?
Strong choice. Commercial banks is the right answer. What is the potential impact of underfunding investments in corporate finance?
Great thinking. All of the above is the right choice. What is the potential role of a chief financial officer in corporate finance?
Right choice. Overseeing financial planning and analysis is the best answer.
One of the most important disadvantages of the corporate form of business is
Right again. Double taxation is a valid answer.
Which department plays a vital role in keeping a company's finances in check?
Great job. Corporate finance is the accurate answer.
What is the primary focus of working capital management in corporate finance?
Good job. Your answer managing assets and liabilities to operate efficiently works well here.
Which position is a potential opportunity in the field of corporate finance?
On track, financial analyst is the correct answer.
short-term sources of finance usually require money to be repaid within dash.
Exactly. 1 year makes sense and it is right choice. What is the potential impact of poor capital budgeting in corporate finance?
Solid response. All of the above is a valid choice.
What is the specialized area of finance that corporate finance focuses on?
Well reasoned. Accounting and investment decisions is the correct choice.
What is the primary goal of corporate finance in using debt and/or equity?
Smart move. Meeting companies' goals and objectives is an accurate answer.
What should finance managers prioritize when making investment decisions?
Perfect. Maximize shareholders' wealth is the correct choice.
What does short-term liquidity management focus on in corporate finance?
Well reasoned. Strategic planning is the correct choice.
Under-leveraged buyout scenario, all of the following and true except.
Nice work. You chose equity is usually sold to P of the debt, and it is correct.
Who are more likely to act as companies in the cash flow of finance?
Good thinking. People with ideas but not enough money is the right answer.
What is the main role of a company controller in corporate finance?
Exactly. To manage it, infrastructure makes sense, and it is right choice.
What is the main purpose of capital financing in corporate finance?
Sharp thinking. To fund projects' operations is the right choice.
What is the main focus of capital budgeting in corporate finance?
On track. Investing in company projects is the correct answer.
How many corporate finance questions that we have covered today?
Nicely done. 3 is a solid answer.
What type of finance involves less profit going to the owners?
Bravo. Retained profit is the answer.
The finance needed by business organization is termed as dash.
Strong choice. Capital is the right answer.
What is the role of a financial analyst in corporate finance?
You're right. Analyzing investment options is the correct answer.
IPA itu growth asset dalam corporate finance balance sheet.
Perfect. Assets with potential to grow in the future is the correct choice.
What is the primary role of corporate finance departments? Valid point. Making investment decisions is true.
Finance is the management of dash affairs of the company.
Excellent choice. Monetary is the right answer.
Which of the following is the goal of corporate finance?
Clear logic. Your choice maximizing company value is sound and 100% true.
Have you ever heard about corporate finance management?
Well picked. Yes is the correct answer.
What does tactical planning cover in corporate finance?
Great thinking. 3-5 years is the right choice.
What is the main goal of corporate financial planning?
Well done. To hide financial data is the right choice.
What is the role of a treasurer in corporate finance?
Solid response. Managing companies' cash flows is a valid choice.
Which agency estimates the national income of India? Great job. Central Statistical Organization is the accurate answer. How does tax influence corporate finance decisions?
Right choice. Reducing tax liability can increase firm value is the best answer.
What are the 3 highest paid jobs in accounting?
You got it. Your choice corporate finance, capital investments, capital financing is right.
In India, coins and subsidiary coins are issued by.
You chose Ministry of Finance, and it is correct.
What is the primary purpose of corporate finance?
Smart move. Leveraging debt financing for different projects is an accurate answer.
What are the 3 corporate finance activities?
Correct. Investment banking, equity investors, financial intermediaries is the right answer.
Retained earning is a dash source of finance.
Right again. Internal is a valid answer.
What are the 3 areas of corporate finance?
Smart pick. Investment banking, equity investors, financial intermediaries is the correct choice.
Factors determining optimal capital structure. Correct response. All plans above is the most accurate answer.
Dash is related to money and money management.
Nice selection. Finance is the correct and valid answer.
What does embed corporate governance involve?
Excellent. Affecting the long-term survival of the business is a brilliant choice.
What are asset-based lending services?
Good job. Your answer providing short-term finance secured on a company's assets works well here.
Working capital management decisions involve.
Nicely done. How a firm's day-to-day financial matters should be managed is a solid answer.
What is the main focus of corporate finance?
Nice work. You chose handling funding sources, and it is correct.
What is the definition of corporate finance?
Great thinking. The management of human resources is the right choice. What are the 4 types of accountants?
Good thinking. Corporate finance, capital investments, capital financing, short-term liquidity is the right answer. What is the subject name for BAC TWE 644? You chose corporate finance, and it is correct.
What is an advantage of an overdraft?
Excellent choice. Useful for relatively small sums and short-term finance is the right answer.
Finance is also termed as dash.
Smart move. Capital is an accurate answer.
Corporate governance refers to.
You got it? Your choice both is right.
Basic principle of finance. Good job, your answer 4 works well here.
How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format. Right again. Contact Narayan Changder is a valid answer.